Hello there folks, my name is Spooks and welcome back to an episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where we break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was The Breadwinner, opening with $7.3 million this weekend domestically. That total stays the same worldwide as it hasn't been released in any international countries yet. This is the 5th biggest opening for a family film this year. It topped Animal Farm and The Pout Pout Fish, but still sits behind The Sheep Detectives, Goat, Hoppers, and the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I didn't really bring this movie up last week, I just had really low expectations for it, but even so, I thought it would do a bit better than this. I know Nate Bargatze is really popular, his stand-up is apparently really funny, and with this being a new family film out right now, I thought that would be enough to bring some of the more curious family moviegoers out to the theater, but clearly there just wasn't enough interest to go and check this movie out, unfortunately. I think just because the movie was delayed, because this actually was supposed to come out earlier this year in the spring. I get they wanted to distance themselves from Hoppers because this was supposed to come out in March, but I think the better move would have just been to put it like maybe in the middle of April. I know it still would have had to deal with Mario and Michael, but I think during that slower time of the month, it probably would have been able to stand out a bit more, as putting it right in as we're ramping up the summer movie season caused it to get buried by all the newcomers and even a lot of the overperformers. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean that the end is entirely near for this movie, as the movie was budgeted wisely, $25 million, and while critics hated this movie, 32% on Rotten Tomatoes, audiences seem to like this a bit more. It got an A- on CinemaScore. It's on par with The Sheep Detectives and Super Mario Galaxy, so maybe it'll spark those family movie legs to get it where it needs to. It's not like it's a high bar or anything, but like I said, the summer movie season is ramping up, and considering how low the interest and the opening was for this movie, I'm not sure if it's going to really bring it to where it needs to. So yeah, a really underwhelming, lackluster opening for The Breadwinner. Number 4 was Michael, making $11 million this weekend. Its domestic total is now at $340 million, and its worldwide total is now at $848 million. Michael continues to hold very well. It's now pushing towards the $350 million milestone. It's already surged past $800 million. It's on its way to $850 million worldwide. Question remains, will it get to $1 billion? It still has yet to open in Japan for another 2 weeks, so I think that's really going to be the deciding factor on where it ends up worldwide in regards to that accomplishment. But I still think this is easily going to surpass Bohemian Rhapsody's worldwide run. I mean, the train still isn't stopping. Again, summer movie season is fully upon us, and yet the movie is still here. It's been chugging along. Again, it's really resonated well with audiences, and honestly, that's pretty impressive considering how there was a lot of things. I know this is hard to believe considering how well the movie has done already, and obviously a lot of people were writing for this movie, but there were some expectations that would hinder this movie, the troubled production history, the fact that they had to redo the entire third act, the budget inflating, and so on and so forth. So the fact that the movie has made this money and stuck around in the top 5 for this long is still really, really impressive to see. Again, it just really connected with audiences, and the word of mouth has just been really strong. It's just been satisfying people as the big blockbuster to go see right now, to really get them into the summer movie season hype, if you know what I mean. I don't really have much more else to say on this, sadly, as I do believe this is going to be the last time we see it in the top 5, just given the number of movies on the horizon and given where the movie's at right now. But still, like I said, what a huge performance for Michael. I know this movie had its defenders. Some people were saying they expected it to do this well, but again, just through everything it went through prior to this, I still think this really did defy a lot of people's expectations. The fact that it's made this much against all those odds was really surprising and definitely spectacular to see. So yeah, really strong results for Michael. Number 3 was The Mandalorian and Grogu, making $24 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $136 million and a worldwide total of $246 million. Oh dear, dear, dear. This movie is fading, and it is fading fast, ladies and gentlemen. The weekend estimates were already bad enough, and the actuals were even lower than those. It was expected to fall 69%. It got over the 70% second weekend drop-off mark. That is not good. There's just no spinning this. There's no turning this around. This is just really bad numbers for this movie. This was the weekend it could have proved to everyone that it could have shown stability. It could have shown, like, we didn't really kill it with the opening, but at least we can maintain a strong audience that will be interested to check it out. But it couldn't even do that. It got overshadowed by the horror movie in second place that last weekend, and it only took 6 days for said movie to dethrone it last Wednesday. That was already like a warning sign, and this weekend is just the nail in the coffin for this. This is gonna really be our first big blunder of the summer movie season, and definitely Star Wars' first big blunder in a while. This is just devastating. It just shows that the word of mouth is not doing its thing. People who saw it last weekend clearly did not like it as much as we all thought that they did, and the interest is already so low enough that newcomers aren't really interested in checking this out, really. Again, this is just not what you wanted to see for this movie. This was supposed to be the big comeback, the revival for the Star Wars brand, and it's just completely falling flat on its face. This is devastating. I think its best case scenario is getting to that doubling point of its $160 million budget worldwide, which, would be an accomplishment, but it's not the accomplishment they were hoping for this movie to have. I mean, this movie might even come below Hopper's worldwide, which is, imagine telling yourself that like 2 months ago that would be a possibility, even amongst, not a really competitive time for the summer, at least how it looked like earlier in the year. My goodness, this is just the worst possible scenario for this. I don't know how this movie bounces back. I don't expect things to get better for this movie, sadly. Just a really bad weekend for Mandalorian and Grogu. Number 2 was once again Obsession, making $27 million this weekend. Its domestic total is now at $105 million, and its worldwide total is now at $150 million. It was one thing that this was the first movie to dethrone Mandalorian and Grogu this summer. Like, that alone deserved this a trophy. But to see this movie stay in second place and increase again despite stiff competition, like, that is just unreal. This movie has jumped past the highest of the highest expectations right now. I don't think anyone was expecting this movie to increase in its third weekend. This hasn't happened for a summer movie since E.T. back in the 80s. That is just remarkable. Again, you usually see these types of things for like movies during the holidays. I remember Anyone But You increased during the holiday season a while back, but still, for a horror movie like this to reach out to this wide of an audience and continue to grow that audience every single week is remarkable. It's already surpassed the $100 million milestone domestically and worldwide. It's at $150 million worldwide. It's definitely getting to $200 million worldwide. This is just one for the ages. We have surpassed Sinners and Weapons and Anyone But You and Migrations, historic box office runs, obviously Project Hail Mary and Michaels. We are in like Puss in Boots and Top Gun Maverick level of runs here, just completely defying every single expectation set for this movie. And I think this movie is just going to keep going. The word of mouth has just, it continues to be electric. I know I keep saying that, but that's the right way to describe this response. It's just been electric. I still see and hear people talking about how excited they are to go check this out, how much they love this movie and are going to see it again and again, and especially outside of the internet. Again, I've seen and heard people like coworkers and family members talk about how interested they are in this movie. This movie really is catching on, and now it's making a play for not just being a contender for the top 10 biggest movies of the summer, but the highs are soaring even higher than they were before. People are saying this could reach 190, maybe even 200 million domestically, 300 million worldwide for a movie that costs less than $1 million. This is just record breaking. This is book history making for the books, or however you want to describe it. Just absolutely astonishing for Obsession, and I don't think the hype is going to slow down anytime soon, considering that there isn't another major horror movie until, I believe, Evil Dead Burn. I could be wrong, but as far as I know, that's the next one, and it doesn't come out till July, so plenty of time for this movie to continue to grow, which it will. Yeah, just one for the history books, ladies and gentlemen. Obsession continues to do really, really well. And finally, let's end the video off with the number one movie of the weekend, which was Backrooms, opening with $81 million this weekend domestically and $117 million worldwide. So, let's break this down. This is the fourth biggest opening for a horror movie ever. It topped Five Nights at Freddy's, but still sits behind The Conjuring Last Rites and both It films. It is the fourth biggest opening of the year overall. It topped Project Hail Mary, but still sits behind Mandalorian and Grogu, Michael, and the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It is the second biggest opening of the summer, once again still sitting behind Mandalorian and Grogu, but was able to top Devil Wears Prada 2, Mortal Kombat 2, and Obsession. It's the biggest opening for a horror film this year, topping Scream 7, Send Help, Iron Lung, and Obsession, and it's A24's biggest opening ever, topping Civil War, Marty Supreme, The Drama, and Hereditary. This movie really did deliver this weekend. Even I was a bit impressed at how high this movie went. I knew it was gonna surprise because the Backrooms phenomenon oh so long ago was pretty monumental, and the fact that they were able to get this done so quickly was really impressive, and they were able to build on the hype from that relatively really well. The marketing was excellent. They did a great job promoting and hyping this up. The fact that they got Kane Parsons to direct the film when he has such a history with the trend, and because he's so young and was able to get this opportunity at such a young age, also I think captured a lot of people's interest as well. And obviously A24's involvement certainly helped the cause, and critic reviews were really strong. Last I checked, it was at a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, so critics also really enjoying this. I think this really boosted momentum for it, and horror is just really thriving right now with this and Obsession. I even saw some reports that some people were doing a double feature with both of these movies, which I think is pretty fun and a nice little time at the movies. And obviously this is a huge win overall for A24, their biggest debut domestically ever. It's going to be their first $100 million movie domestically. Absolutely outstanding numbers, plus the fact that the movie was only $10 million to make, so this is already what 12 times the budget, especially including worldwide numbers. Absolutely insane, really strong opening weekend. However, I'm not as optimistic about the movie's legs as I was about the opening, because the response seems to be pretty divisive from what I'm seeing, in particular with audiences. Like I said, critics enjoyed it, but audiences seem to be a bit more split down the middle. It got a B- on CinemaScore, which isn't uncommon for the horror genre, but in terms of recent horror movies, it's under Hokum, Ready or Not 2, Send Help, 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, and most recently Obsession. The only other ones it's on par with right now are Passenger, Primate, and Scream 7, and we all know how those movies did. And I think the response for the movie is starting to catch on. Like, no joke, I was at a family gathering this past week, and I was talking to some family members. They were talking about how they were going to see this movie, but they heard about the mixed response from people, so that kind of put them away. So the word is getting out that this movie is kind of underwhelming people. So sadly, I don't think this is going to be another Obsession or Sinners or Weapons. I think this is going to be pretty front-loaded, and we're going to see a steep drop next weekend. It's not like it's going to hurt the movie or anything. I mean, again, $10 million, but I think they were hoping for this to really, like, break out and continue this momentum, but it's not looking like that. I could be wrong. Maybe this movie does have the legs and the interest there, but right now it doesn't seem like it's gonna really leg out the way they were hoping for. But still, this is such a huge opening altogether. I can't see them being too worried about where the movie is headed when the movie's already made so much money. It truly did deliver this weekend, like I said. So yeah, fantastic start for Backrooms. They really did it. They really went above expectations. It's just that the future ain't looking too great for this movie. And those were your top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And this weekend we have 2 new major wide releases, starting with Masters of the Universe, the long-awaited film adaptation of the beloved 80s cartoon He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I would love to come on here and say, oh, this is going to be another win for the summer. It's going to shoot past expectations. It's going to start a new franchise, revive He-Man, all that jazz. Unfortunately, I just don't see that happening. I see this more in the realm of Mortal Kombat 2, Dungeons and Dragons. It's not like they're not promoting the movie or anything. The marketing has actually been pretty solid, but I just don't think they're selling this movie well outside of the core demographic of diehard He-Man fans. They all seem excited and pumped about this movie, but I just don't think He-Man has the cultural relevancy of like some other iconic characters like the Ninja Turtles or Sonic or Spider-Man right now. So and it doesn't seem to be bringing any newcomers. I barely know anybody who's interested or excited to see this movie. Again, outside of the diehard He-Man fans, it looks more like a typical summer blockbuster. I've seen a lot of comparisons to the Thor movies, really, and apparently this movie is also really expensive, so it's going to need a lot of help, and I just don't see that happening. But who knows, the summer has been pretty wild thus far. The box office in general this year has been pretty wild so far, so maybe this catches on. If it's like really, really good, who knows, maybe it'll make for Mandalorian and Grogu's losses with a much better, stronger summer blockbuster. Who knows? Hopefully that's the case, but right now I'm not expecting too much for it. And then there's Scary Movie 6. That's right, the 6th installment spoof franchise. It's going back to its roots. It's R-rated. The Wayans brothers are back, and they're back to make fun of all the various modern popular horror franchise, and by that I make them really, really stupid. Now, I think this movie is gonna really, really do well. I think people underestimate how much people loved Scary Movie, especially those stood the test of time. I know plenty of people who quote those movies and watch, myself included, and the hype for this has been with obsession. I have heard so many people talk about this movie. The trailer was really pop, came out. I had coworkers, friends talk about how funny the movie looked, and I think, we're in the middle of a really big box office, so now we get this a sillier, more ridiculous version of the horror movies we like, so I think that's also gonna benefit it as well. And of course, you know, the Wayans brothers involvement is getting a lot of people hyped up and excited about it, and you know, we haven't had a big raunchy comedy like this in theaters in a while, you know, to this degree. So again, just a lot working for this movie. I think the marketing has been fantastic. Buzz has been very strong. A lot of factors that are going to push it towards a really strong opening. I don't think it's going to surprise like Backrooms did, but this is certainly going to catch people off guard. And of course, the make or break situation with this movie is if it's really funny. If they can make the magic happen again, then I think this is going to really continue to leg out and be one of the bigger surprises of the summer. But if they can't make that magic happen again, if this movie just isn't that funny, this movie is going to crater after the first weekend. So yeah, that's pretty much the one thing that's going to really hurt or benefit this movie. I know it's one thing, but it's a very crucial thing. But yeah, other than that, I think we're going to see a really strong opening here. I think it's got a lot working for it right now. But we'll see how well this movie truly does, as well as the rest of the movies that land at the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all those social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.